One of the biggest mistakes people make is your skill set is what's going to help you get a job in sports. Worked for the US Open. That was my kind of big break that happened. Worked in player relations. Serena Williams was retiring that year. So I had a very interesting year spent at the US Open. Player relations is essentially taking care of tennis players' needs, anything and everything that they need when they're at the tournament. And now I work for the Professional Tennis Players Association, which is the Players Association in tennis, the advocating voice for tennis players. And in a nutshell, what we do is safeguard and support the rights of professional tennis players.
How do you, I want to first talk about how did that first US Open break happen?
Yeah. Networking, really. I set up coffee chats with probably 50 people across the city of New York, virtually, in person, random cold messages, cold emails, some through mentors that I've had previously, some through alumni that I had met. I hung on to those relationships from a long-term perspective. So when the time came, they were there to help me. I always knew that I wanted to work in tennis at that time. So US Open was like a great next step because it happened in the city of New York. I think I reached out to maybe 6 or 7 people at the US Open at that time. Somehow, through all of those 6-7 people, I managed to get a meeting with the tournament director. And one of the first things she said to me when I got on the call was, "Do you know how many people have spoken to me about you?" And that's when I realized that that's the way to do it. The only way that she is going to give me this job is if other people vouch for me. It's not if I vouch for myself. So because trusted people had vouched for me, she was like, "Great, here's the job, take it."
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a really cool thing that happened. But I realized it was a culmination of years and years of networking that I had done.
Absolutely.
And initially it was an entry-level position because I was still in college. I was doing my master's. But because Serena Williams was retiring that year, I got a lot of responsibility, more than I should have, because senior staff got very busy with Serena retirement stuff. So I ended up kind of managing a team of 200 seasonal staff members.
Wow. Being a college student.
Almost like a conduit between HR and seasonal staff. So think there's an issue with a player in a locker room. Locker room staff will come to me. I will either solve it or I will take it to senior staff and solve it through that. So I was kind of that middle person. And it was a year. It was a position for a year, but really 3 weeks of the US Open is when it was insane. 16-hour days, always on your feet, crisis management, high adrenaline, always around like high-profile tennis players, and I fell in love with it.
Wasn't it overwhelming in the start?
Yeah, it really was. But I really, to be honest with you, I really felt at home. I think the first time I stepped into the arena, I actually played on Arthur Ashe Stadium, the center court. I got to play there before the tournament started. But the first time I stepped on that court, I was like, damn, like I thought I'd play here one day, but this is the next best thing that I could have done. So it was a really special moment, and it was definitely overwhelming. And I took 3 weeks off after US Open to recover from 3 weeks at US Open, but it was so worth it.